Hey everybody, I'm Stacy with New Creations by Stacy. I'm just going to give it a minute for some people to jump on. And let me go ahead and get signed in over here so I can see some comments. Alright, perfect. So I got it up. I see a couple people on. As you're coming on, just say hey, where you're watching from. If you have any questions, I'll try to pay attention to the comments. These are usually pretty small, so I'll try to pay attention to the comments, answer, but if not, I'll go back and answer any questions after the live as well. And again, I'm Stacy with New Creations by Stacy. I'm a Dixie Belle retailer here in Madison, Alabama at Blue Vintage Market. And we are coming on tonight to work on this rocking chair that we started Saturday night on Chalk 101, and we just did the chippy paint finish. So tonight we're going to go in and antique it out. We're going to use some black glaze, some Dixie Dirt, and I'll probably use some of the dark waxes too, definitely black. I might throw a little bit of brown in there. We're just going to kind of see where we get with this piece tonight. So before we get started, I did go ahead and clean it with White Lightning. Did a coat of clear Boss to stop any bleed through, and then we painted it with Dixie Belle's Mermaid tail and Colonel Mustard for the under part. And like I said, that's a live from Saturday night if you wanted to go back and see how all of that was done. So also I have my affiliate link posted, and if you need to find your local retailer for any of the products, you can click that link and find your retailer. And then also I have my Facebook link posted, so that way you can see finished pictures and more of my work if you wanted to. I have some other videos on there as well. So let me go ahead and bring you guys in close. We're just going to start on this back section. We have lots of beautiful detail work on this antique rocker here. So just want to get you guys in so you can really see. So when I originally painted it, back a little bit more. So when I originally painted it, I tried to kind of paint, I'm going to put you up a little bit. I tried to kind of paint some of the detail in because I knew I was going to go in and glaze it. But now I just really want to make all of this pop out. And of course it just looks too bright for being an antique rocker. Let me kind of move this around a little bit here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix a glaze up. And I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's black glaze. But if you look at the black glaze, it kind of, it looks gray. Or blue, like a blue-gray color. It comes out black, but it's a very soft black. For this piece, I want the black to really pop. So we are actually going to take the black glaze and we're going to mix in some caviar to it, which is just black, so that I can deepen and richen the cover so it won't be so soft. So to do that, when you're mixing a glaze up, you want to do about a 1-to-4 ratio. And actually, I'm going to pull you back on the camera a little bit here so I can do it by my desk. Sorry, my head's kind of cut off. But so I mixed some of this black glaze up the other day. I just did a little bit of it for the sample board. And so we're going to go ahead and mix the rest here. So I normally don't measure, but you do want to do a 1-to-4 ratio when you're mixing glaze colors. And you can do this with, you can do these with any colors that you want to. If you have painted something pink and you want to do a plum crazy glaze, you can mix that with a clear glaze, or you can mix it like with the white or something like that. It's just, I mean, there's a whole wide range. There's grunge too. So that's a good color to mix it with as well. So like I said, I'm not really going to measure. I know this is about a 4-ounce container and I use this a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the whole container. So I'm just going to pour what I think is, and you see how thick this is? I'm going to pour what I think is about 3/4 in here. That should be about enough. All right. And then take a look at it. It's really kind of thick. See how it just dripped off the side there? That's okay. I don't want my glaze this thick, but this is a water-based product. So I'm just gonna add some water. I'm gonna mist right into here. Normally I would just take some drips out of the faucet, but I'm gonna throw that in the cup. And then I'm gonna take my caviar and I'm gonna use a spoon to dip out my caviar. My caviar is pretty thick too because I'm near the bottom of the thing and I paint out of it. So now the more paint you add to your glaze, the faster your glaze is gonna dry. And you wanna wipe your glaze back. So I'm not gonna add too much paint. That might be a fourth. You can see it didn't quite bring me up to the top. But I've also added some water, and I may want to add some more water. I like my glaze pretty thin. So let's just go ahead and mix this up. And I do want to add some more water in here. There we go. And I think I am going to end up adding some more black paint to it. I'm going to lower it down so I can mix it well. Let me just add another scoop in here. And that pretty much brings me up to the top. So I probably have about a 1-to-4 ratio. You don't have to be exact. The main thing is that you get it the color that you want it and that you have it thin enough, wet enough so that you have time to wipe it back. And that's why you work in small sections with the glaze too. Just kind of scooping it around, getting it nice and mixed up. It's not quite as black as I want it, so I'm actually gonna add just a little bit more paint here. About another scoopful. And that puts me just at about a 1-to-4 ratio. I think that's a 1-to-4 ratio. It's 3/4 glaze and 1/4 of the black paint. So that's pretty good. That's about as dark as I want it. You can kind of see, and you can kind of see it's a little thinner than it was before. So that should be good. That should be just what I want. So let me set this down and put everything back together before I spill it all over the floor because I'm good at stuff like that. Hold on just a sec here. So again, caviar, 1/4 caviar. And then 3/4 of the black glaze, which looks blue. And when you glaze, it does come out black, but it's like a really soft black. And I want pop. So that's why we mix the caviar in. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn you around again so you can have a nice view here. Just trying to make sure you can see it all. Let's see. Can I get you closer? That should be about good. All right. Back it up just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to use a Dixie Belle Premium Chip Brush to apply my glaze with. Hey, Beth. How are you doing tonight? I know I see several people on. Say hello or... If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, anything like that. So I'm just going to brush this over, make sure I get it into all of my details. And like I said, this we want to look very, very old. We want to look like it's been painted for a while and just really grungy. But I'm really concentrating on getting the glaze and working it into these details. I also have a French tip brush here just in case this was too much. Now, one thing I forgot to mention to back up a little bit, I did protect between the paint coat and the glaze and the work that we're doing tonight. I did protect this with a flat clear coat. And I did that so that my glaze wouldn't sink right into the paint. The paint is really porous, so I didn't want the glaze to sink into it. I want to be able to rub it around and manipulate it. So you won't be able to do that if you don't protect in between. You don't have to protect with the clear coat. Well, you don't have to protect it at all. It's just it's kind of on there once it's on there. But you can do it with like wax. You can do it, you know, it doesn't have to be the clear coat, but you do want to make it one of the water-based products. So I've got that in here. We're going to come back and do more on this section, but I'm going to go ahead and glaze the whole top all the way around because we want to let this glaze dry before we move on to aging it out with the wax and the dirt. So I'm just going to come up here, make sure I get into all the cracks and crevices. Now up here is where the material goes, and they're going to put the brad nails in right around here. So I want that top section to be really aged. Oh, thanks. I just saw your comment again, Beth. So we're just going to go ahead, just make sure we work it in. And you can go any direction with these chip brushes. Just a natural bristle brush. And you can use as much glaze or as little glaze as you want. If I didn't want it all over my piece, I could have used an art brush to get it only into the detail work, but I want this whole piece to be grungy and toned down. Just want to make sure there's a nice crack right, oh, there's a nice crack right here. I just want to make sure that I get all that black glaze in there. And then I'm wiping it back with baby wipes. And you don't have to use baby wipes. They're just already wet, so it's really easy. I mean, you can use wet paper towels. You can use a wet rag. Some people like to wipe it back dry first and then do the wet. I like to go straight to wet, but that's just me. I find that if I wipe it back dry first, I don't like it as much because I don't feel like I have as much control over it. If I start wiping it wet and I've wiped up too much, wiped off more than I want to, I can always leave it on like the dirty portion of my baby wipe and I can just come right back over it and just smear it back in. So sometimes if you dry wipe it first, when you dry wipe it, it pulls so much back that just there's very little left and it can dry really quickly. If you don't get back to it with your wet piece, sometimes you just can't get it off. So got that section done. Now we're just going to move over to the other side here. And I've lost the feed, so let me pull that back up right quick. Well, I've lost the video. Hopefully I'm still on with you guys. Here we go. Oh, good. I see some more people on here. Oh, hey, Lamar. Oh, yes. Let's see. All right. Oh, yes. It does soften it up. It's blurry. It's actually... I'm not quite sure. Maybe if you're able to pop in and out. I've got it up on another device here, and it's coming in pretty clear for me. How is everybody else seeing this? Is it blurry for anybody else too? Let's see, and I'm just getting it into the cracks here. Oh, but yes, I do definitely, this is a really bright color, and it's kind of a tiki material. I don't know if I have it out here. Yep, I do. It's kind of a tiki material that we're matching it to. So you can kind of see. So I do want to dull it down and really age it out. A chippy paint job shouldn't look like it was fresh. I don't think anyway. But it's all a personal preference and how you want it to look too. Let's see here. Just making sure that I'm getting it into all these detailed areas. And then we're just going to wipe it back again. You do go through quite a few baby wipes here, though. Okay, good. So you're clear. Oh, perfect. Good. I'm glad you can see it and it's not blurry anymore. All All right, I always worry about that, and I'm not great at the videos on the lives. I just started them once COVID hit, and so I'm still trying to learn all the technology aspect to this. So I'm switching to a clean spot on my baby wipe just because I put quite a bit on this side over here, and I want to wipe a little bit more back. So you can also dot it on. So like if you want to add a little, well, that's okay. So let's say I wanted to add a little bit more dark up here, but I wanted it kind of blotchy. You can kind of paint with the glaze too. So I can dip in. See, I just dipped my baby wipe here in a little bit of glaze, and I can come back over this spot and I can dot it in a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see, but I'll bring you in for a close-up. That just gives me a little more shading up in that section. So that's a nice way to, especially if you have a blend or something like that, an old world style, that kind of method of dotting it looks really nice. So we've got the glaze on this top section. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the heat gun. And then, let me see what time it is. Yeah, so we've got some time. I'm gonna hit it with the heat gun. And then we'll go ahead and use the wax and the Dixie Dirt on here to really age it out even more. So this is just kind of loud and takes a little while. Let me see if I can look at some of the comments here in the meantime. Oh, yes. Well, you know what? This client, this is a custom. And this client, I get to do a lot of funky kind of boho stuff for her. Usually in some colors or some things I wouldn't normally do, so I love it. And she's always got the funkiest material. She has a lot of like tribal and candy skulls and tiki stuff, so this is gonna fit right in her house. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but the rainbow table, it was a custom I did a month or two ago. This is the same client. If you go down in the timeline on my page, it's there. I just named it the rainbow table, but it's a really chippy, layered look of about 12 different colors. It actually literally has about 25 layers on it. It's a small table though, so. Oh, thank you, Gloriette. All right, so we are pretty dry here. And what I really want to watch for is I have a lot of glaze in these grooves. Sometimes that takes a little longer to dry. And if you start working and that's wet, you'll start pulling that out. So some of this up here is a little wet still. Let me make sure I can get that done. So it's looking pretty good so far. And this piece had so much texture on it. I really thought I was gonna get a lot of crackle if you guys saw the video on Saturday, but that just didn't happen. I sanded it down with what's equivalent to, I use the Surf Prep sanding pads, but it's equivalent to like a 120 grit sandpaper. But I painted a lot of this distress into it too, so I didn't cover it. Super easy paint job, one coat. Well, I mean, it's really two coats, but you know, this color was only in a few patchy spots. All right, so I think we've got it dry enough here to move on to the next step. And so now, and this is where I'm not exactly 100% sure where I want to go with this, how much dirt or antiquing I want to put on it. So we're just going to kind of play it by ear. Tell me what you guys think. All right, so for the Dixie Belle wax, for the Best Dang wax, what I have out, I have some clear. And the reason I have clear out, I don't really need that for anything, but the clear is an eraser. So if I put some black wax on here, it's just too thick. I don't like it. I want to pull it back. The clear is my eraser. So I always keep the clear out. Sometimes I may need it, sometimes I don't. And then I've also got Best Dang Wax in brown. And I'll probably do the center, probably closer to that in brown. And then I've got the Best Dang Wax in black. And then I also have some Dixie Dirt here. And I have the Dixie Dirt in earth, which is more of it's got a more brown tint to it. And it's literally just like dirt, it's powder. And then I also have charcoal. So it's kind of more like a blackish gray color, kind of there. So I've got that out. Now, for the Dixie Dirt, to use it, you do need to use wax, or I've also used it with a clear coat. I haven't really seen anybody else do that, but I have made it stick with a clear coat as well. But you do have to have something on your piece for it to stick to, because it's powder. So if there's nothing to stick to, it's just gonna, you know, brush off. So that's another reason I might use clear wax if I don't want to put any dark wax in an area. But we're going to go ahead and start off with the black wax. And I have, and actually it's just a chip brush. It's the cheap chip brush, not the premium chip brush. And I've actually cut off the bristles. So they're just short little bristle chip brushes. After you paint, and you know, these only last so long. They're not like the synthetic brushes. So you can just cut them off and use them like a wax brush. Sometimes in smaller areas, I also use art brushes. So I'm gonna put some wax on the end of here. It's not a whole lot. Actually, that was a little bit more than I probably needed, but it's fine. We're gonna move it around and wipe some back. So I'm gonna kind of go along these same spots. So the material will be coming over to here. So I want this darker, where the material, because dirt would collect in there, you know? And all I'm doing is kind of scrubbing this on. For right now, I just want it on here. Make them a little darker, kind of up here around the edges, maybe coming in some. And I'm kind of doing this like I would paint. I'm just kind of dry brushing it in. It's kind of scratching across, got a little bit much there, but that's fine, I'm not worried. All right, so I've got the black on, and I want to get some brown in here. I mean, I want this to be dirty. So let's go ahead and open up the brown, and I'm gonna take another chip brush here. Well, I had a second one that was cut off. Oh, here it is down here. So I'm gonna take the brown, and I'm gonna kind of just dab it in down here. We're gonna wipe this back. I've got a rag over here. We're gonna get in a little bit farther. And I'm gonna rub it around in some circles. I want this heavily dirty looking. And you see how it's completely changing the color, like how it is down here versus here, and then only with the glaze. So you can really see the difference. But I just want this kind of coming in from the black. There we go, that's pretty dirty. Now, I'm gonna go through, I want this texture, I want all this stuff to sit in the texture. So I'm just gonna kind of take an art brush here, and I'm gonna dip in the charcoal first. So you see I just dipped the Dixie Dirt on here. I've got it on my brush, and I'm gonna kind of rub it in. It's really powdery, and it's sticking to my wax. We're still gonna wipe the wax back some. I just wanna get the dirt on here. It'll wipe around with it. And it's kind of just enhancing the wax, making it a little bit darker. It's very subtle. It's a very authentic dirt. I want dirt in the cracks because that's where dirt gathers. That's where it sits. When you're looking at something like this, I want it to mute a lot of the color out. Let's get a little more dirt. I'm gonna put some earth in here because it's very subtle, these changes, and you may not even really be able to see it well on camera, but when you're in real life, all these little subtle changes in the colors and everything, that's what gives your piece authenticity and dimension. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We just want to make it nice and old and dirty looking. So I really like that. It's muted enough. It looks old. I'm going to come back now with just a rag. It's just a clean rag, lint-free shop rag. And now I'm going to start kind of wiping some of this around. So I just put my fingers in like this. And I want to I'm keeping kind of to the middle to wipe some of this out. Because these, like the non-indented areas, you know, I want a little highlight on there. And sometimes I come back and dry brush. We'll look to see if we want to do that. Sometimes I come back and dry brush some of the color over here to even add some more dimension and put just a teeny tiny bit of the lightness back in it. And now when we come up here and I show you the close-up of this and we compare it to the top, you'll really see the difference to the color. So we just want to go down and I'm just going to kind of rub in circles. I don't want to take all my wax off, but I do want to rub it in. I want it to dry. I don't want it to be tacky or anything like that. So I'm just going to kind of rub it around. So that's it. I think I like where that's going. So I'm going to let this set up. And I've got some dirt down here. There's no wax there though. It just kind of fell down. So I'm just brushing that off. Unfortunately, I took a little bit off the bottom of here with the wax. So I'm just going to kind of put that back on with the brush. I'm going to put some more dirt back in that spot because I did kind of wipe it off before it had set up. So we're going back with the charcoal, just a little bit of dirt on my brush. And just dotting it in down here. There we go. Make it look nice and dirty. So perfect. All right, so we're just going to go and we're going to do the same thing over this top section here. Oh, hey, Marianne from Iowa. Yeah, you guys, and if you guys are just jumping on, just say, hey, where you're watching from. If you watch this on a replay, you can do hashtag replay. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to message me on my page or anything like that. I have the full product list that we're using as well is in the description for this. So we're going back in with the black wax. And I do have more than I would probably normally use, but I do want this to be heavy. So we're just going to come in down here, because this is where the material is going to come up. And I'm just kind of feathering it. I'm trying to feather it up a little bit. So it'll kind of be easier when I go to wipe it back. It will, it'll kind of be easier to soften it with that kind of blended look. We're going to do the same thing up around the top here. I want to get in this spot really nice. Really even make this detail stand out more than it does with just the glaze. All right, and then we're going to come in with the brown wax again. And with the brown wax, I'm just going to kind of dot it in. It's going to give me that shaded highlighted look where it's changing from black to brown, and then it'll come in lighter. And I'm not using quite as much brown, kind of a little bit random. I didn't get as much black over here on this side, so I think I'll just come in with a little more brown. The more colors you have, the more layers you have, the more dimension, and the more authentic of a look you're going to get. So there we go. I think I'm going to put just a little bit more kind of up here. And sometimes I dab and dot it on because that makes it look a little more like dirt too. So then we're going to come in and go back with the Dixie Dirt. First, I'm going to come in with charcoal. And we will, the charcoal, let's put it around this edge because we want that to look nice and dirty. And it needs, again, it needs this wax to stick to. So you want to do it while the wax is still kind of tacky feeling. Like I haven't wiped it back, so it's just really, it's a very tacky feel. And you know, it doesn't matter how much I put on here with the dirt, because what doesn't stick there is gonna, just like with dirt, it's gonna fall off. So, kind of want to make it really look nice and muddy around this yellow, really age that out. That's kind of the bottom, or that's the base color. We want that to look, you know, like it was done before this, this green was. All right, so now I'm coming back in with a little bit of the earth, which has a little more of a brown tone, kind of like the brown wax we're using. And I'm just going to randomly dot that in. I'm going to keep this one kind of a little bit more towards the center. And then we're going to come back with the rag here. Oh, hey, Peggy from New York. Oh, hey, San Diego. Oh, how is the weather in San Diego? Everybody else looks like they're in snowy spots. We're just now starting to get cold here in Alabama, but I'm just not ready. And then I see some people on these, and they've already had snow, and I'm so thankful at least that we don't have that. We're just getting a little bit of the cold. So I'm just rubbing this back again like we did on this other side. And I'm kind of trying to rub it more out in the middle, because that's where I would have more of the, like a lighter highlight. That's where the dirt would stick less to. But you know, with all this texture in here, it's wonderful because this wax and all of this dirt is just really sinking down into that. But you can see where it's brightening up, where I'm pulling it back. And let's say I thought, you know what, this is too much. I want to clear off that whole thing. This is where, and I'm just going to show you more for demonstration purposes, but say you've got your clear wax, you want to pull that back, you've made a mistake. You can just put a little bit of clear wax on here and see how much I can pull that back and brighten it up right there in that spot. Only I'm going to go back and darken it up here in a second. I really didn't want to erase it all. But, you know, you can see clearly how much that brightened up by how dark it was. You know, just the difference between here and here. So clear wax, when you're using your dark waxes, is you always want to have that. That's your eraser. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this section back up over here. Make it all nice and dirty again. So we're just going to go with some black wax. Dot that in some and put some brown over here. And I mean, this is a really random process. It's all about what you like and how you want it to look. And we've got some dirt coming in. And this dirt kind of gives it, this charcoal dirt kind of gives it a nice gray tone that is going to pull in that gray color in the material. So that was a little earth I put on there last. And then we're just going to kind of take this back. It hasn't had as much time to set up, so it'll wipe back a little faster. The longer you leave it on, the harder it's going to be to buff it off. Oh, I can tell by that comment. I probably, you know, I'm so glad someone here is getting good weather, though. Let's see. I know Angie from the Painted Feather was on, and I watched her live, and, you know, you could just tell it was sunny and warm there. I think she's in Northern California, but, all right, so just kind of wipe that back a little bit. I think that's good. All right, perfect. So let me see where we're at time-wise. Okay, so actually we're coming close to the end. So that section over there, we can skip that. It's the same as these two. I'll do it when I'm offline. But you can really see how it's aged out. I'm just looking to see if I want to go back and do any dry brushing. But I actually don't think I do in this case. I'm really liking how it's antiquing out. And I'm really loving how these details are popping and how this is... how this yellow is kind of pulling in. I'll bring you guys in for a close-up so you can really see it before we go off. Let's see here. Okay, so this is kind of how it looks close up. You can kind of see how dirty it looks. I mean, what that dirt and that wax did. And then you can really see how the detail's now popping with that black glaze inside of there. And I'll bring you guys on around, and then I'll show you the section we didn't do, because that'll probably really help you see the difference. I mean, you can see how much brighter this part is, and then just go down. You can see what a difference that dirt and that dark wax makes with the details and having it pop. So I'm gonna bring you back out. And unfortunately on camera, I mean, you just really can't. You can see all the texture and everything that happens there, but it even looks better in person. So again, if you guys have any questions, thanks for hanging out tonight. You can message me on my page, and that is, there's a link posted that you can click on, as well as it's just New Creations by Stacy. But you guys take care. Have a great night.